discuss with you what exactly you should be doing for the essay paper. But before I start one minute, now can we go online?
Yes.
Live.
Yes. You're live.
Fine. Once again, my name is Vajiram Ravi for those people who don't know me, and I am here to discuss with you if you are sitting for the mains this year or if you are sitting for the exam next year, how exactly do you approach the essay paper? But before I start with this discussion, first, let me get a brief idea of who exactly you people are. How many of you have given the prelims this year and are expecting that you might write your mains? How many have given the prelims this year? How many people? Some of you over here. And can I say that you write your mains also? Hopefully, at least that is the expectation. Of any student who's written the prelims, at this point in time, prelims was yesterday, do not waste your time. Every single year, between the day that the exam is conducted and the day that the results for the prelims is declared, many students waste their time calculating their scores. Between last evening and today, I have got about 10 or 12 emails that I've checked. I met some students since morning I was leading classes. I met a lot of students over here who are saying that, sir, I'm getting 87, I'm getting 95. One boy wrote an email that I'm getting 98 marks, but I think I will fail. Please remember one thing, nobody knows the cutoff. In the initial days, in the initial hours rather, a lot of hype is created about the exam. Everyone says the cutoff is going to be very high. 5 or 6 students come. They say that the paper went off well, it was simpler than last year, and suddenly the cutoff goes to 105, 110. But when the result is finally there, we realize that the cutoff for the UPSC is significantly lower than what we had expected. So whoever you are, whatever your result might have been, please utilize your time fruitfully. And when you're utilizing your time fruitfully, what do you do? I would still expect a serious candidate. If you're going to give the exam next year, then I would expect that between now and the 30th of September, when your mains get over, you still behave like a main student. You still focus on covering the main specific portion of your syllabus, which is 500 marks for your two optional papers, 250 marks for the essay paper, 250 marks for the ethics paper. This is something that you must complete by the time the mains come to an end. Now, coming more specifically over here, how should I approach the essay paper? For this, to understand what you're supposed to be doing, this is going to be a simple session that we have here. We try to keep it interactive. There are some people here on YouTube also. Sir, audio is not clear. Can we fix the audio here?
Yes. You are okay.
Is the audio clear now for the students on YouTube?
केवल
watching it right?
ये निकाल के ना फटाफट ये
It's still not clear.
कैमरे पे
Just give me a moment. Now, am I audible to everyone on YouTube again? I hope they can answer right now. Am I audible to these people?
सर यहाँ पर मॉनिटरिंग है
Some technical issues. Yes, now they're saying we are audible. Fine. Now let me come back over here to understand how you prepare for the essay paper. Whether you are a student who started his preparation this year, whether you are a student who's given the prelims and is writing the mains, whether you are a student who's giving the prelims and you might not write the mains. For the paper, first keep in mind what exactly is the approach that you adopt, how exactly should you see the essay. Number one, a student should understand that the essay paper is a complete 250 mark paper. It has the same weightage as an optional paper or as a GS paper. This, unfortunately, is something that most students do not seem to remember. It is a highly scoring paper, which means that you will get a score. A good score in this paper would be 140, 150, 160. A poor score in the essay paper, if you want to clear your mains, if you want to clear your interview, would be at least 120.
कौन सा
Problem is,
अरे नहीं यहाँ पतले वाला यहाँ पर डायरेक्ट लगा
since it is not given adequate importance, even in cases like Vajiram, many students start their preparation very late. They do not know how to prepare. They are under the misconception that when I'm doing my GS studies, when I'm doing my optional studies, reading the newspaper every day, side by side, one way or the other, this paper will also get covered. Unfortunately, that does not happen. I'll explain that in detail, a little by little. Third, the essay paper can be a game changer. Any student who gets a good rank, top 10, top 20, top 15, you will notice that they always get high marks in the essay paper and the ethics paper. Syllabus is very small, very little effort, and they're highly scored. Fourth and most importantly, especially for students who are actually writing the mains, the essay paper will set the tone for the mains. Your essay paper will be conducted on Friday, Saturday, Sunday are GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4, and next Sunday is your optional paper. If on Friday, the two essays that you write work well, if you feel good about them, if you feel confident about them, this optimism will carry you through for the next 3 or 4 or 5 days also. This is like this. On the other hand, if you feel that you messed up an essay, if you feel that it did not go well, that negativity, that pessimism again will have a very detrimental impact on you for the next few years. Which is why, give this paper in one brief sentence, give it the attention, give it the effort that it deserves. And the basic intention here should be to get a high score. Question is, how do I get a high score? There's 3 things that you need. Number 1, you will need essay-specific content. Not content, you will need essay-specific content. Why? Because an essay is not a long answer. An answer that you write in GS, an answer that you write in optional, you cannot write a longer answer and say that this has become an essay. The writing style, the content has to be very different. Number 2, based on my experience with different students, different batches, this is the problem that many students face. They are not good at writing. They're very good at studying, they're very good at researching, they remember a lot of data. Unfortunately, they don't write. For this, you will need regular writing practice. What is regular writing practice? Minimum, the bare minimum that you need is at least 2 essays per month. Minimum you have to write. More than that depends upon you. And third, after I write an essay, after I write about 1,000 words on a topic, I need someone to evaluate that essay. These 3 things, if you're able to find, preparing for this paper will be fairly simple, very straightforward. There's nothing difficult. It will be a scoring paper. Now, question is, where do I get the content from? How do I practice writing? How do I get my papers evaluated or my essays evaluated? Now, we have a small interactive session. Let me look at some questions that I believe that students usually have. And at the end of each of these, if anyone has a question, I'll take a pause and I'll take a look at what you're asking. Number 1, first and most common question is, when should I start preparing for essays? I started my GS preparation in 2024. When should I start? I prepared for GS in 2022. I have given 2 attempts, but I have not been able to clear my prelims. I don't know whether I clear my prelims in the future. When should I start? Whoever you are, whatever your current status, when should you start? Very sincerely, I will tell you, start now. Don't waste time, because this is largely a test not only of your content, it is also a test of your expression. Now, in the essay paper, the content that you need is multi-dimensional. It covers many different topics, many different areas. What is multi-dimensional? That to write an essay effectively, I need information related to poverty. I need information related to education. I need to know about international relations. It could be a topic that is based on business. It could be a topic that is based on science and tech. There could be healthcare. There could be media-related issues, n number of issues. Getting this much information, remembering it, utilizing it well, will not be possible in a very short span of time. So as early as we can, for example, many of these students were sitting in front of me. I remember, I think I took a GS class with you today morning itself. Many people are sitting twice in a day. You have to meet me. That must be very difficult. But I sit like that. But if these people are sitting, I know that they have been here for the last 2 months or the last 4 months. At the moment, you have a lot of time. Your optional classes have not started. Your CSAT classes have not started. If you're taking it. You have a lot of time on hand. If a student disciplines himself or herself to just spend, let's say, 2 hours twice in a week, even that would be enough for your essay if you're doing it seriously, and more importantly, if you're doing it regularly. Second, writing skills will not develop overnight. They take time before you can understand how you're supposed to improve, where you're going wrong. And third, this is a little bit of a bonus feature. If you prepare for essay, this will certainly, I can say that with complete confidence, this will certainly help you in your ethics paper. Now, I met you people in the morning live. I hope you know I take the ethics paper also here. In ethics, I constantly keep telling the students that the quality of your answer depends upon the quality of your examples. In essays, in the last few years, code-based essay topics, philosophical essay topics, reflective essay topics, whatever you want to call them, they are becoming more common. All these code-based essay topics, in one word, what are they based upon? In one word, they are based upon values. Let me take a small example. A topic that was asked a couple of years back said that a ship does not sink because of the water around it, it sinks because of the water that hits it. What does this mean? This means that whether you are an individual, whether you are a country, whether you are an institution, whether you are a government, you will not fail, you will not falter, you will not sink because there are problems around you. Problems exist for every single person. It is only when those problems overwhelm you, when you allow those problems to overpower you, that you will sink or that you will suffer. Now, that is the basic understanding. Now, where do I get examples from? For examples, whatever we are talking about in the essay paper will also help you in the ethics paper. Now, if I ask the students here, can you give me an example of a person who was not able to deal with these problems? Can you also give me some examples of people or institutions who were able to deal with these problems? The examples that we write down here, you will realize will also help you in ethics. For example, today is the 17th of June. 14th of June 2020, when the COVID lockdown was going on, which very famous, very popular person in India committed suicide? Sushant Singh Rajput. And Sushant Singh Rajput, the morning when he woke up, I don't know what his problem was. I don't know what stress he was going through, what sorrow he was facing. But this much I can tell you that whatever stress, whatever problems he was facing, worse problems are faced by many people across this country, across this world. But a person will not commit suicide because of those problems. You will commit suicide when you cannot control those problems, when they overpower you. So here I will give you the example, number one, of Sushant Singh Rajput. Number two, is there a person who can overcome his or her problems also? Of course, there's a very famous name, I'm sure you know about it. There is a person, have you heard of someone called Louis Braille? Louis Braille? He is the person who invented the braille system. You go home, read about
यहाँ
it.
से तो नहीं हो रहा
You will not be able to believe it. Louis Braille was 3 years old. Just 3 years old when he turned blind, completely lost his vision. Despite becoming blind at the age of 3, by the age of 15, he had developed the first version of the Braille system. And he spent the rest of his life dedicated to just one thing, to refining the Braille system. Did he have problems? Yes. Right now, who's in Britain right now getting an operation for his eyes done? Raghav Chadda. And they are saying that the problem is so serious that he might even lose his eyesight. Fortunately, I'm assuming he's 35, 40 years old. He's at least seen something in life. Even then, if you lose your vision, it will not be an easy life. It will be very difficult. This person, on the other hand, does not allow these problems to overpower him. He's able to go beyond them. That's why we say ships do not sink because of the water around them. You sink because of the water that gets into you. Now, these kind of examples, when I start writing, will they also be useful when you're writing your ethics answers? Yes. How will they be useful? For example, for a former person like Louis Braille, what value do I learn? I learn number one, courage. Number two, I learn perseverance. Number three, I learn determination. Number four, I learn selflessness. Because what you're doing is not only beneficial for you, it will help every person who's visually impaired to access information, to get education, to know their rights, and to demand their rights. Which is why the earlier you start, the content that you collect for this will have a very clear overlap with your ethics paper. 200 and 250 plus 250, 500 marks will get prepared simultaneously. Since you people are sitting here, since you people are listening to me, I would strongly advise start this exercise as soon as possible. Number one. Number two, before I move on, so far, does anyone have something to ask me? These people are clear. This does everyone follow? One. Second question that students have is that, okay, I'll start preparing right now. Question is, how should I prepare? Now, this depends upon who you are. And here I will divide the students into two categories. First category is those people who are writing the mains or preparing for the mains 2024. And the second category is the other students. If you are writing the mains in 2024, I would very strongly advise you that you please join an essay course, not necessarily at Vajiram, anywhere where you believe it is appropriate. Because it is only when you join a course, what do you need right now? Number one, you need material for which you don't have to run around, you don't have to waste time. You just got 3.5 months. Number two, you need tests. You need topics that are given to you so that you can practice. And number three, after you write these tests, after you write these essays, you need to get them evaluated. If you're writing your mains this year, or if you think that you'll be writing your mains, please join a course wherever you feel like. This is absolutely essential. It's a full 250-mark paper. Other students, on the other hand, who are writing the exam next year, who think that they might be writing their mains in 26 also, what should they do? They have two options. Number one, what has happened to this? Number one is self-preparation. Number one is self-preparation. What is self-preparation? That you prepare for this paper completely on your own. Like I said, devote about 2 hours twice in a week to this paper. That will be more than enough. 3 to 4 months, you'll start feeling very confident. But how do you prepare yourself? You will be able to prepare by yourself if you have adequate discipline, if you have a reasonable command over English, and if you have good content for different themes. Same themes that we were talking about earlier: poverty, education. Last year or last to last year, there's a topic that said that education is what remains when you forget everything that you were taught in school. So here, if you think that you can collect information for primary education, for higher education, for college, for vocational education, adult education, then you will have adequate content to be able to write a reasonable essay. If you think that you don't have this discipline, why do we emphasize discipline? Because many students believe that they will study, they believe that they will work hard, but very soon that steam, that focus, they start losing. If you believe that you have just these three qualities, please prepare for it on your own. You have a lot of comfort, you have a lot of flexibility. If you think you will not be able to do this, you will not be able to maintain the discipline, if you think your language is not good, then please join a course. Whether now, whether later, that is completely your choice. But again, the earlier you do it, the better it would be. Third, now students ask that, sir, if I decide that I want to prepare on my own, I am going to try and do this on my own, then where should I get content from? Now, for content, it's very simple to collect the content. Number one, please read from diverse sources. In fact, let me just take a small pause and explain this differently. Students come and say that, sir, if I want to prepare for the essay paper, can you please tell me which book I should read? Unfortunately, there is no book that can cover such a diverse range of issues. In polity, if a newcomer comes and asks me, sir, which book should I read? I'll probably say Subhash Kashyap, or I'll say Lakshmikant. If a student comes and asks me, what should I read for history? I'll probably say Bipin Chandra, or maybe I'll say Spectrum. If you ask me, what should I read for economics? I don't know what they're saying right now. Mishran Puri or Rudra Dartan Sundram, one of the two. For the essay paper, however, I need poverty, I need education, I need women, I need science and tech, I need a lot of areas. So there is no one particular book. How do you collect information? Read from diverse sources. This could be a book. This could be a newspaper. This could be a blog. This could be your civil services exam study, your general studies, your optional, and so on. When you're reading from diverse sources, number two, choose. Be very careful about your choice of content and organize the content theme-wise. Right before I came for this session here, there were some students outside. There's one boy, I don't know whether he's sitting here. He asked me, sir, how should I categorize? How should I make my current affairs notes? And what we advocate, that you divide your current affairs into different themes. Issues that are related to social issues, economic issues, political issues, international relations, science and tech. Same thing that you do here. Choose the right content, organize it theme-wise. And number three, when you're collecting the content, ensure that your content is essay-worthy, is suitable of being used in an essay. Now, what do you mean by content that is suitable for using in an essay? Let me take two topics from last year's mains, the mains of 2023. The first one here is that not all who wander are lost. Second one, inspiration for creativity springs from the effort to look for the magical in the mundane. Now, for either of these two, I don't know, different people will write different things, but what would make a good essay? If your essay is diverse, if it touches upon different topics. Now, if I say not all who wander are lost, first, I will start with a human being, with an individual, Marwan Attapattu. Now, this, to be honest with you, is one of my favorite examples that I've ever read for ethics or for the essay paper. Marwan Attapattu rose to become the captain of the Sri Lankan cricket team. But when he started, the first time that he was allowed to play a test match, how much did he make? He made 2 runs and then he made a 0. He was dropped from the team. He was given about 2.5 years. He came back. 2 years later, he was given a chance to play another test match. This time, how much did he make? 0 and 0. He was again dropped. Went, played domestic cricket, came back after 2 years. This time, how much did he make? 0 and 0. Went again to play domestic cricket, came back. 6 years later, when he got another chance, this time he made, I don't remember his score, 50 something. And from there he went on, he was unstoppable. But between his first run and his second run, the gap in between was 6.5 years. For these 6.5 years, what was Attappattu doing? He was wandering, but he was not lost. Despite the fact that you're facing constant failures, despite the fact that you dropped from the team over and over again, he was not lost. He was focusing on just one thing: improve your game to a standard where the national team will not be able to reject you. That is why we say that not all who wander are lost. Now, here I'm talking about one sports person, I'm talking about one person, one individual. Similarly, I can give you the example of an Indian woman who left India to go to the US. This is a girl or a lady called Chanda Zaveri. Now, Chanda Zaveri was 70 years old. She belonged to a business family in Calcutta. Family was very well off, she was very rich. But the family, like many families in India, had one demand: that you will get married when we tell you, where we tell you. And that Chanda Zaveri did not want. She wanted to complete her education, she wanted to work. A lot of girls sitting here will say the same thing. Very few of them will have the courage and the perseverance to actually do that. At the age of 17, when her family started pressurizing her, one day she left her house. She had nothing with her. The only thing that she had were 2 diamond earrings that she was wearing. If you have diamond earrings at the age of 17, you must be from a good family. She left the house, went to the market, sold the diamond earrings, got some money, bought a ticket, went to the US. In the US, when she landed in the US, she realized that there is no financial support. Nobody is there to support her. So, what did she do? She started working as a maid in different households. Working as a maid in different households, she started collecting, she started earning some money, saved the money, saved up to an adequate extent that she was able to apply to Harvard University. Got admission into Harvard, which is one of the best in the world. Studied at Harvard for 2 years. From there, left Harvard, went to Caltech, California Institute of Technology. In Caltech, she worked under Linus Pauling. Who's Linus Pauling? He is a person who's won the Nobel Prize twice, not even once, twice. Worked under him. Under Linus Pauling, she learned how to use vitamin C for better, what should I call it, for better cosmetics. Based on her experimentation, research, and her learnings, she started a company called Actiogen. And last year in 2022-23, the value of Actiogen was $800 million. From the day that she left Calcutta till the day that she goes to Harvard or goes to Caltech, in between, what is she doing? She's wandering, but she is not lost. Now, that was a person, that was a man, this was a woman. Then let me talk about an organization also, which is ISRO. Now, if you talk about ISRO, did ISRO find success in its first launch? No, it took decades. But in these decades, what were they doing? They were not lost, wandering, but not lost. Buddha, when he leaves his palace, does he find enlightenment on the first day? No. Many years he'll have to wander around. He's a prince. He could have become a king. He will go from door to door asking for money, asking for food. He is wandering, but he's not lost. Why? Because he knows that he's searching for enlightenment. Answer to just one question: that if at the end of the day everyone has to die, then why do people suffer? And so on and so forth. Now, the point is not these examples, the point is not these stories. The point is that if I include all of these in an essay that I'm writing, my essay will have depth, my essay will have diversity, and my essay will fetch me marks. The question for any student is, which source do I have? Which book do I have? What notes do I have where all of this will be given in one place? None. This is based on your reading and how you use that reading, whatever you're thinking about, whatever content you come across, whether or not you're noting it down in one particular place. Similarly, here you'll find very easy examples. Second one says that inspiration for creativity springs from the effort to look for the magical in the mundane. What is mundane? Everyday, common, dull, boring. And here, what examples will I give you? I'll give you the example of the Wright brothers. Everyone knows them. What are they looking at? Looking at transportation. Now, at their time, how do people travel from one place to the other? Number one, you use a horse. Number two, you use automobiles that are very slow. And if you're going very long distances, you go by ship. At that time, it is literally inconceivable that a human being can fly. And I'm sure that when they started this, it must have been very difficult. What were they doing? They're looking for the magical in the mundane. Is it possible that human beings can actually seek flight? J.K. Rowling, what is she looking at? Writing a book. Now, if I ask you, I want to write a book, what should I write on? One person will say economics, another will say history, another will say politics, another will say someone's life, an autobiography or a biography. What does J.K. Rowling do? J.K. Rowling writes on a genre which most people don't write about. She writes for children. And in children, what does she write for? She actually writes about magic. It's not that she will find success on the first day. She will be rejected by 10 to 12 publishers before someone finally prints a book. And once the first book is printed, there is no turning back. At her peak, she had more money, she had more wealth than even the Queen of England. And how do you do that? By looking for the magical in the mundane. I'm sure that you know about Viktor Frankl. What is the Jaipur food? The Jaipur. Who's from Jaipur here? An artificial prosthetic for people who've lost their limbs. It enables you to work. Why? Because you're looking for the magical in the mundane, something as simple as enabling mobility. Isaac Newton, when he was sitting under the tree, it was very mundane. The things fall all the time. If I throw this pen, it will fall. But you're looking for the magical. Why does it fall? Why does it not? And what does that lead to? That leads to the discovery of gravity. Now, these examples, again, the examples are not important. Any of these points, can I say everyone already knows them? Question more importantly is, will you be able to remember them at the right time and remember them according to the topic? Which is why we say again that if you have to collect content, there is no one particular book, there is no one particular source. You will have to read from diverse sources. When you're reading from the sources, choose and organize your content sensibly, carefully, according to different themes. And when you're choosing the content, always ensure that it is essay worthy. Here, let me give a small piece of advice also. Students usually say that I'm not comfortable with philosophical essays, these code based essays. Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. A ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what a ship is for. These kind of topics I'm not comfortable. If you prepare carefully, you will realize that these topics are the simplest to write on. Since they're talking about values, what do we want from you? We want, number one, that you should be optimistic, and number two, that you should be prescriptive. That no matter how bad the situation, you can show us the positive side, and number two, you can tell us how we can achieve something positive out of this outcome, out of this discussion. They will be the simplest if the content is essay worthy. Before I move on, again, till here, is everyone clear? Any questions, any doubts that you have? Let me see what these people are saying. No, they are also fine. So can we add movie? Yes, that is a good question. Can we add the examples of movies? Preferably not. Preferably not. And this I will make a small exception also over here. A few years back, what was the topic? Topic was health is more important than wealth or something on those lines. I don't remember the topic. I'd given a test in the class and I said health is more important than wealth. This one student, I don't know who he was, this one student started his essay by saying that there's a movie called, I don't even remember the name, but I think it was Do Biga Zameen. Is there a movie called Do Biga Zameen? Some Hindi movie called Do Biga Zameen. This movie is based on the story that there's a very rich landlord. There's a person who works very well for him, works very hard, very loyal person. So one day the landlord tells his worker that I'm very happy with the work that you've done for me. As a token of gratitude, what I'm going to do is in the morning, we will go to my field. All this land is mine. You run as much as you want. And wherever you run till there, the land is yours. Whatever land you can cover, the land is yours with one condition, you have to come back. You can't stay there before the sun sets. You have to come back. This man starts running from there, starts running, keeps running, and he realizes that no matter how far I go, the more I go, the more land I possess. Keeps running, the morning turns into noon, noon turns into afternoon, and when he looks up, he realizes that the sun is now getting faint. It is about to go, it is about to reach sunset. Dusk is about to fall. When he realizes dusk is about to fall, he realizes that he's come very far away from where the landlord is. So he starts running back. But then he realizes he's run too much. He will not be able to cover this distance in time. He starts running faster. And when he runs faster, of course, your heart is going to pump, your body is going to take the pressure. Before he can reach the landlord, this man collapses and dies of a heart attack. And then this boy said, this story proves to us, this movie proves to us that health is more important than wealth. Very good story, very good movie, very appropriate use of a movie in an essay. Unfortunately, and that's why when you say that, sir, can we quote movies? I know you can. Very few students will be able to make the right choice. If I allow them, if I allow these students that you write the names of movies, you write whatever, they will write the names of movies that you've not even thought of before. They will even include, in India there are three kinds of movies. What are the three kinds? There are good movies, there are bad movies, and there are Salman Khan movies. Salman Khan movies, no, these people will use even Salman Khan movies there. So I would advise you, as far as possible, please try not to use those examples. Okay, use actual examples, use actual content over here. So can we use religious examples in quotes? Then please remember the difference between religion on the one hand and spirituality on the other. As far as possible, try to keep your examples on that side rather than this side. Similarly, some students will also ask me that, sir, when I'm writing, can I write a quote in Hindi? Can I write a quote in Sanskrit? Some very good Kabir Doha that I know, some very good quotation in Sanskrit that I know. Can I write it over here? Again, preferably not. In this part of India, the northern part of India, if you ask someone, should I write a quote in Hindi? They will immediately say yes. Why? Because most of the population here is Hindi speaking. So they assume that the entire country knows Hindi. But when you write the essay, when you write a paper, your paper could be evaluated by a person who's sitting in Tamil Nadu or who's from Tamil Nadu. Now, this person knows English, this person knows Tamil, but does not understand Hindi. So even if you write something very nice, something very beautiful, he will not understand a single word. Now, students say that, sir, I will write something in Hindi, then I will translate it in English. But when you translate it in English, the effect, the impact is significantly weaker, significantly poorer. Which is why when you have to write something, as far as possible, try to write in English with some exceptions. There are some terms, some phrases that every Indian knows. For example, Satyamev Jayate. For example, Atithi Devo Bhava. For example, Vasudevaya Kutumbakam. If something is very famous, please feel free to use it. Otherwise, the reader or the examiner may not understand, and of course, you will not get marks for that. All right. So please tell us which sort of anecdotes. This is going very fast. 1 minute. Let me just take a look at these people also. They are fine. They are clear. So can we write small story lessons of Mahabharata or Ramayana? You can do that, but please pay attention to the word you yourself have used. The key word is small. You have to understand, there are someone who's asked me how many paragraphs do we have to write. In a 1200 word essay, that is what the UPSC will say. In a 1200 word essay, you will need to write somewhere between 6 to 8 paragraphs minimum. Now, when you're writing these on average, what is the length of your paragraph? 150 to 200 words. In these 150 to 200 words, you have to give me an idea. You have to give me a thought. You have to give me a suggestion, and then you have to give me an example. If I allow all these students here, if I give them a small topic and I tell them, please write an essay, I assure you most of these students will make one common mistake. Their essay will only be examples. An example is used to prove a point, is used to substantiate a point. It is not a point by itself. So when you have to write an example, it's a small part, 20-25% of your paragraph. Rest of the paragraph is something else. Let me give you a small story, and let me again tell you, religion versus spirituality, maintain that distinction. When the Mahabharata, of course, is a Hindu scripture, is a Hindu text, primarily Hindu text. But the Mahabharata has a lot of examples that can be used in the essay and in the ethics paper. One story that is very important and one value that is very important, that you should not seek revenge. You must be willing to forgive. When I say you should not seek revenge, you should be willing to forgive. Whose example will I give you? From the Mahabharata, I will give you the example of a lady called Draupadi. Now, Draupadi realizes that after the battle gets over, after the Kauravas have lost the battle, what is his name? Ashwathama do? Ashwathama comes to the Pandav camp and he kills all of Draupadi's sons. Arjun or Bhim, one of the two, Arjun or Bhim go, they catch Ashwathama and they get him back over there. And they tell Draupadi that if you want, I will kill Ashwathama in front of you. Draupadi says no. And when I think Arjun caught him, when Arjun asks her, why don't you want me to kill Ashwathama? Draupadi says, because I don't want his mother to feel the sorrow that I'm going through right now. What is this called? This is called your ability to forgive. It's not easy, but it's very important, because had she sought revenge, the same cycle of violence, the same cycle of hatred might have repeated itself many times over. Now, when I talk about this example, I of course have to explain, so I'll use it a little longer. But if I have to write it in an essay, write it briefly. And please don't say words like Lord. Please don't say Shri. Please don't say Ji. Why? Because that lends a religious connotation. You are a civil servant. You're expected to be impartial. You're expected to be neutral. Tomorrow, when you start working in the bureaucracy, you should be free of any such bias. So use examples, but ensure that they are brief. All right. So from where should we start collecting the content? Like I said, please start reading. I'll give you a small example. I don't know whether you're studying here, whether you're not studying here, but uh, you've got this one handout that I've given you where there's some values written, public service values, 30, 35 values. For each of these values, I've given you 2 examples. Now, let's say I give you a mandatory exercise, necessary exercise. Today is Monday. By Wednesday evening, for each value, note down 3 more examples, just 3 more examples. Can I say you'll be able to find them on your own? Without hesitation, yes. What value? For example, honesty. Now, I don't know what example I've written there. I must have written Lal Bahadur Shastri. But I'm sure you know other examples also. For example, this boy will say that an example of honesty is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln apparently was a small child and he had gone to some shop where the person gave him extra money. Lincoln didn't notice, he walked back home. When he realized that he had carried extra money from the shop, he walked back a very long distance just to return that money. What is this called? This is called honesty. If I say friendship, you can have good friends, you can have bad friends. Who's a good friend? A good friend, for example, is Krishna and Arjun. A good friend, for example, is Krishna and Sudama. Have you heard of them? Question is, will you remember this example when I ask you about friendship? For that, you'll have to note it down and you'll have to revise it frequently. And what is a bad friendship? Again, from the same Mahabharat, this is Krishna and Duryodhan. Karan and Duryodhan. Karan knows that what his friend is doing is absolutely wrong. You're disrobing your sister-in-law in front of the public. And yet you blindly support your friend. What does that lead to? The destruction of the entire dynasty. So when you say, where should we get content from? Please read lot of things you people already know. And as long as you keep this in your reference, keep adding to it. All right. So can we quote examples from our personal life? Let me change your question. Let me not say personal life. Let me say, can we use hypothetical examples? And this one again, understand carefully. What is a hypothetical example? There's a topic that is given and students say that, sir, can I make up an example? Let me take an example actually. Let's say I say women are the only victims. Women are the only victims who are treated as the accused. Now, students say that, sir, I heard someone, I was talking to someone taught me that if you don't have content, you can make your own example. How do you make an example? For example, here I will say that there is an Indian woman called Geeta. Geeta was very hardworking, but she was very poor. Because she was very poor, many people tried to, I don't know, exploit her, try to ill-treat her and so on. When she was exploited or when she was assaulted by someone, sexually assaulted by someone, she went to the police station. In the police station, the police, instead of listening to her, instead of filing a complaint, started questioning her, started accusing her, started maligning her character. And they say that, sir, that is why we can say that women are the only victims who are treated as accused. Your example is making sense. But if I had to give you marks out of 10, I'll probably give you 2. Why? Because if you had to make up examples, cook up examples, we can cook up any example that we want. Then your essay, what you're saying, is making very limited sense. Last year, the same topic I was talking about, what is that one? Education is what remains after you forget what you were taught in school. There's one boy I know, name I will not tell you, rank I will not tell you. He gave the exam last year. He's given the exam many times in the past also, sat for the interview, sat for the mains. Normally, when he gives the essay paper, he gets a score of 130 to 140. Last year, he got a score of 114, 115. Where did he lose marks? There could be many reasons, but one thing I remember from what he told me, in this topic, education remains, is what remains with you when you forget what you learned in school. This boy told me that, sir, in the introduction, I gave a personal example. I said, what example? He says, sir, that morning when I reached my center, he was in an auto. So he said the auto wala asked him, he asked the auto wala how much money? He said 70 rupees or something. So he gave him 30 rupees. Let's say the bill was 68. The auto wala gave him 30 rupees. The boy took the money and started walking away. The auto wala shouted at him. He said, wait, I have to give you 2 rupees more. This boy said that, sir, I wrote that over there, that although this auto wala is not very educated, is not at least as educated as me, I've gone to college, I'm a postgraduate, he has, in the true sense, what we call an education, and he remembers what was even not taught to him in school. Seems to make sense, but it will not have the impact that actual sensible information will have. What do you mean by education? Some of the students were talking to me outside. I gave them the example of Alfred Nobel. Nobel, if you look at someone who made explosives, I think Alfred Nobel is the first one through which you can have destruction on a larger scale. What did he make? Dynamite. Now, Alfred Nobel for 3 months went somewhere for a vacation. When he came back from there, while he was on the vacation, people thought he has died. There was very limited means of communication. When he came back, a lot of people had written his obituary in the newspaper. And they had written, how did they remember him? Alfred Nobel, the inventor of dynamite. Nobel was very hurt by this. He said, I don't want to be remembered for making something that is used for destruction and that is used for killing. That is when he instituted the Nobel Prize. So that whoever is doing something for the good of humanity, those people should be renowned, should be respected, should be honored. What is this called? This is called, in the true sense, the education. What did you learn in school? Science. But now you're going far beyond that. This is what we call character. This is what we call an education. Given a choice between these two examples, please don't use that personal example. Don't use a hypothetical example. Use a real example. All right? That's why we say content is important. Can we use penal laws in essays for references? Preferably not. Why? Because it is not a specialized exercise. It is a generalist exercise. All right? So preferably not. Let me just take a look at these people also. So is it good to use heading in an essay? If yes, where to use the heading? One sentence that I always say to the students when they ask me this: you people read the newspaper, at least you're supposed to read the newspaper. Have you ever seen an editorial which has diagrams? Have you seen an editorial that has flowcharts? Have you seen an editorial that is written under headings? No. Why? Because an essay and an editorial are not only a test of your content, they are also a test of your expression. If you have to write headings, this is my introduction, this is the body of my essay, this is my first paragraph. If you have to write that, then your expression itself is not effective. By the way, why do we need an essay paper? Because those of you who clear this exam and become bureaucrats tomorrow, some of you will be in the IAS, some of you will meet the foreign service. When you are dealing with your own people, with governments, or with other countries, your expression is very important. During COVID, who was that person who was coming on? I've forgotten his name now. The person who used to come every day on the news and tell us what precautions to follow. Yes, what was his name? What is his name? I've forgotten his name. I don't know, call. I'm forgetting his name. He was a joint secretary in the health ministry. Every morning he would come and he would tell us what we have to do, how to wash your hands, what you should eat, what precautions you should maintain. If he uses one word that is inappropriate, one word that creates alarm, one word that scares the people, can you understand the repercussions for a country like India? Which is why you will not write under headings, you will not make diagrams, you will not make tables. Please write in flowing language, because at the end of the day, it is a test of your expression also. All right. Uh, Cliched example should we avoid? Yes. This someone asked me from the ethics batch a couple of days back. They said that, sir, you are giving us all the same examples. The example that you give in M1 batch are given to M2, are given to M10, M20, 30, 40. They said that, sir, can I come up with my own examples? If you have the ability to search for right examples and different examples, please do that. I personally would advise, don't waste your time. Students say that, sir, some examples are very common, they're very well known. So if I and all my batchmates are writing the same example, the examiner will not give me marks. Please don't go to extremes. If all of you sitting over here clear the prelims this year and write this year's mains, do you think, number one, all the students are going to clear the exam simultaneously? No. Number two, do you think all these students will sit in the same center? No. Do you think all your scripts will go to the same examiner? No. So even if someone is reading your content, the chances that two of you will, or your scripts will go to the same examiner on the same day, there is a probability, but the probability is almost zero. It's negligible. So don't worry about that. Don't multiply your work. Focus on getting the results. Don't put in unnecessary efforts. Do what is required to get marks in the exam. All right. So can we underline good areas? Of course. And more than underlining, this is what you call highlighting. How do you highlight? Something that is important over here, I will underline. A word that is very important, someone's name I'm taking, a value that I'm mentioning, a good example, I will put it in a box. That you definitely do. That's called highlighting. All right.
So can we quote the scholars like Aristotle and Plato?
Definitely. But can you quote the same scholar over and over again? No. But that I'll just explain to you when I come to optional also. Some misconceptions that students have there, I'll just clarify there. Can we do ethics and essay side by side? My dear friend, that depends upon how hard you are working. Yes, Love Agarwal was that person's name. Which mode is better, online or offline? That depends completely upon the student. There are many students who come for offline classes with the understanding that once I go to Delhi, when I'm sitting in a class, I'll be able to understand better. Within a month, what happens to them? They make friends, and friends start giving them a lot of advice. Like, this is what the bureaucracy is about. Have you gone to that place to eat food? Why don't you come with me to have a drink? And God knows what else you people say. That much I can't tell you. Then these students come and say that, sir, I don't like Delhi. It's very expensive. The food here is very bad. The weather here is terrible. I have to spend a lot of time cleaning my room, washing my clothes, a lot of domestic chores. Can I go back home? And we realize that students who are sitting at home attending online classes are learning equally well. There's no difference in the outcomes if the student is sincere. So it depends upon your sincerity. And if you're not sincere, you come to Delhi also, I don't think it will make any difference. All right. Now, can I move from here? Okay. Now, number 3, where should I get the content from? So these are some sources, and the other questions I'll just look at in a couple of minutes. 4th, what someone was asking me, this is the answer to your question now. Many students ask, will my optional preparation, will my GS preparation help me in writing essays? Very honestly, in 2 small words, the answer is it will help you, but it will help you very little. Lot of people, to popularize an optional or to popularize different optionals, have started telling students that if you study for so and so optional, whatever optional I'm teaching, this optional will help you, other than everything else, will help you in the essay paper. Unfortunately, that is not right. Unfortunately. Why? Number 1, like I said earlier, an essay is not a long answer. Because you read, and I will not name any optional here because then people get offended, people get sensitive. But they will say that whatever I'm teaching you in the optional, you can use this directly in the essay. It will not happen. And why will it not happen? Because whatever you're reading in the optional, you cannot expand that and expect that this has become an essay. Number 2, an essay is a generalist exercise. It is not a specialist exercise. For example, if I give you a topic that talks about the law, for example, if I say that those people who are virtuous do not need laws, and those people who are evil will find a way to bypass the laws, to circumvent the laws. Now, I want to talk about laws. So, can I, if I'm from a law background, my optional is law, can I use all my optional knowledge over here? No. You will get marks on the basis of your diversity. The more diverse your content, the more broad your content, the better, the richer, the deeper your essay becomes, and the better, of course, will be your marks. Let me take a small example and try to explain this to you. Since the UPSC 2014-2015, since they started asking quote-based essays, philosophical essays, reflective essays, a lot of people got this misconception that philosophy might be a very good option for the essay paper. Let me take one topic. I don't know when it was asked, 2-3 years back. The real is rational and the rational is real. Now, any student here who has a background in philosophy will tell you who's the quote attributed to? Hegel. Now, if I want to talk about Hegel and his dialectics, I can talk about it for 1 paragraph, maybe 2 paragraphs, but not more than that. But because if you write 1,000 words based only on what Hegel said, then this is not an essay. This is a very long answer on philosophy. In an essay, what do I need? I need diversity. The same thing I was saying earlier. And here, for a topic like this, what will you write? Mahatma Gandhi and the train incident. Which train incident? When he was thrown out of the train, where? At Petermaritzburg. Now, when he's thrown out, what does Gandhi realize? Gandhi realizes that without India, or unless India secures independence, Indians will never have dignity, will never have any rights. He also realizes how will this become a reality? If you focus on certain consistent principles. And what principles does he have? Primarily 2, ahimsa and satyagraha. And very soon, that dream, that vision he had that day in South Africa in 1947 will become a reality in India. I'm sure you know about this person, Dashrath Manji. Have you heard of? What is he called in India? The mountain man. Now, he's a man who knows that his wife has died because he was not able to get her to the hospital in time because there's a mountain in between. The government is apathetic. The government is not going to help you. They're not going to build a road. But Manji realizes that what is rational is that if even one person works wholeheartedly, dedicatedly, even one person can cut through the mountain. He takes, and by some, what should I call it? It's a very beautiful coincidence. The Taj Mahal took how long? 22 years. He took how long? 22 years. Within 22 years, in memory of his wife, he's able to cut a road through the entire mountain. What he thought will become a reality, using his rationality, is able to achieve that. Marwan Atta again. Lionel Messi. Who's Messi? I think everyone knows him. Messi, when he was small, when he was like 7, 8 years old, he had a desire to become a footballer from a very young age. The problem was that he was not growing. Therefore, at a young age, about 9, 10, 11 years, he started taking growth hormones because he realized that despite my passion, my abilities, without that size, a team will never consider me seriously. Now, when I write different content from different perspectives, now what happens? My essay becomes diverse. So when you say that, sir, anything that I'm reading in GS, anything that I'm reading in my optional, will that help me in my essay paper? To some extent, the answer is yes, but do not rely too much on it, especially for the optional, because usually it will not give you content that will add the diversity, the depth in your essays. Fifth, yes, and this is what some of these students online were asking: how do I get my essays evaluated? You have two options. Number one, go to a teacher who teaches the essay paper, which does not mean only me. There are many other people. Otherwise, tomorrow onwards, I will have 300 essays per day. You said go to a person, you are that person, now check. Go to a teacher who teaches the essay paper, not someone who doesn't teach. Why? Because someone who doesn't teach will not understand. If you want to write an answer on history, can you tell an economics teacher to check it? No. If you're writing an answer on geography, can you tell a science teacher to check it? No. The same thing applies here. What the flow of an essay would be, what your interpretation of the topic is, what content you write will vary from person to person. Therefore, either go there, or number two, this access to this teacher everyone will not have. So second option, and a more easy option, is to find a reliable and a serious candidate who has written the mains at least once or has appeared for the mains at least once, or for the interview at least once. These students actually will give you a reality check within a matter of seconds. By looking at just a couple of pages, they might not give you any comments, but they will still be able to tell you, are you proceeding in the right direction or are you way off track? Whoever is evaluating should be able to evaluate your script in an objective, in a consistent, and in a thorough manner. What is a thorough manner? For example, and that's why I'm telling students who have cleared the mains, you please join a course. Don't waste time. Don't waste your attempt. Thorough evaluation means that I should, or whoever is checking your essay, should check it overall. What have you done? Should give you different parameters, different dimensions on which they are assessing you, and then they should give you specific comments on what you're writing. This one girl who was here in the essay batch last year. I think she's from IT Bombay. This girl wrote this. Now, this is what she learns overall. In this essay, by the way, she's going to get 50 marks. But if I say that this is your overall feedback and I say you're getting 50 out of 125, the question is, where am I going wrong? What have I done wrong? And for the photographers who are taking photographs of this script is on the Vajiram website. Please go over there. You'll find it very easily. The portion which talks about the essay paper, there's a script there. This is the same script. I've taken the photos from there. I also need to tell you where you're going wrong. For example, if you look at this student, in the introduction, she gets 4 out of 10. Now, let's say she writes a second topic also, some second topic. There in the introduction, she gets 6 out of 10. What does she learn? She learns that her introduction is fine, but she made some error in the first one. But in both the essays, in the introduction, if she gets 4 out of 10, that means that whatever content she's choosing for the introduction, that content itself, that approach itself needs to be improved. Similarly, if I say your interpretation of the topic, your focus on the topic, the quality of your examples, someone should be able to tell you very precisely where you are going wrong. In addition, so that you identify how you improve in the future. Similarly, once you start writing, it is also important that someone points out to you where you are going wrong and what can be done to improve. For example, what is the topic here? Same one. Women are the victims, only victims who are treated as the accused. Now, this person has written something. 2021, some Goa court Tarun Tejpal case where he was accused of sexual harassment. In the Tarun Tejpal case, the Goa court, instead of questioning Tarun, Tarun Tejpal? Which publication is he associated with? Tehelka. At one time, he was considered one of India's most promising, one of India's best journalists. Today, unfortunately, he lives under the stigma of that sexual harassment case. The court, instead of questioning him, why did you assault or why did you molest a girl? They started asking the girl, To the extent that in court, they even produced her former WhatsApp chats and used them to show that this girl's character was questionable, proving that women are the only victims who are treated as the accused. Choice of content is correct. But this student does not mention anything about where the girl or this victim was treated as the accused. So here someone should tell you that please mention a small statement about her clothes, and don't say clothes. Say that they even asked her questions related to her undergarments. Why? To emphasize, to highlight the fact that this is absolutely unacceptable. Number two, how did she react? Number three, questions on her past relationships. If these minor changes, minor words that you add away, essay writing is not difficult. You only need to be told where small changes are to be made through which your expression can be substantially improved. Which is why, if you have to get an evaluation, again, find a person who actually teaches this paper, or find a serious candidate who's given the mains at least once, sat for the interview at least once. Very quickly, even the student will be, not these students sitting here. Because these students, no, they might be sensible, they might be very good, but these students themselves will not know what exactly they're looking for, what exactly they're supposed to assess. All right. This again is everyone clear. How many examples can we use in an essay? There is no, what should I say, there's no fixed number. It depends upon what we are writing. Can we write the name of current Indian political leaders? What do I say for this? And they've given names also. I mean, let me read the names. Like Modi, Rahul Gandhi, Amit Shah, Yogi. You're talking as if they're your friends, but can you, yeah, Modi met me yesterday, Yogi will meet me tomorrow. uh, Preferably not. Preferably not. Why? Because any political leader, any political thought, especially contemporary, usually will create a controversy. One person will agree with you, but another person may completely disagree with you. So preferably not. All right.
Can you use different color pens to highlight something or even quotation?
Different color pens you can, no, you please use them in the ethics paper, not in essay. In essay, if you're writing with black, write with black. Writing with blue, write with blue. Only for underlining, you can use it. Rest of it, please write with one ink. All right, underlining, you might use it. Let me just see these people also. Sir, between philosophy and English literature books, which is preferable to choose for the essay? If you have to choose between philosophy and English literature, neither. Many people again say that if you want to write a good essay, you have to be from a literature background. You need good language, good grammar. I assure you, for every 100 essays that I've checked, without exaggeration, 60 to 65 students do not have command over their grammar. They make very common mistakes, but we know that this is not an indication of their abilities. This is a testimony to India's education system. That even by the time students finish their graduation, they cannot write fluently. So we don't penalize you. If you're good in English, if you're good at grammar, it is an advantage. If you're not good, it is not a disadvantage, provided your content is correct. So please don't go for philosophy books. Please don't go for literature books. Read something that is good, that is beneficial for you. Now, what is beneficial for you? For example, have you heard about this person called Ramachandra Guha? Yes. Have you heard about this person called Gurcharan Das? Yes. These kind, Amartya Sen for that matter. Read good books, get content from there, read blogs, read newspapers, and so on. All right. Do we need recommendations in every essay? Yes, that is absolutely mandatory, because you must have a prescriptive orientation. You must be able to give suggestions wherever we are facing a problem. Sixth, and this is the question these people are asking, how do I improve my expression? Should I read something? Should I read philosophy books, literature books? Very simply, how do you improve your writing ability? Please practice. And what do you mean by practice? Again, minimum at least 2 essays in a month, which every single student can manage very comfortably. You just need the discipline for it. Number two, develop a consistent structure. What do you mean by consistent structure? Let me put this also differently. If you watch people on the internet, many people say that essay writing is an art. Unfortunately, is it an art? Yes, but it is an art for people who are not sitting in this classroom. It's an art for people who are sitting in universities. If you're studying in Delhi University, if you're studying in JNU, if you're studying in Oxford, then you treat essay writing like an art. Not few, many years back, there's this one student, I believe, studying at Oxford. There was a essay they had to write, 2,000-word essay. And what is the topic of the essay? What is courage? 2,000-word essay in 3 hours. One essay, what is courage? What did this boy write? This boy wrote, this is full stop, and went back home. What is courage? This is courage. And for that, he got an A plus. He got an A plus. Why? Because that is Oxford. Because you are a student enrolled in some master's or some bachelor's program. You try something like this with the UPSC, they give you this topic tomorrow, what is courage? You write this is, and you come back home. By the evening, Delhi police, ED, CBI will come to your house to find out how did you dare to write this. Which is why when you are writing the essay, again, they say, essay writing is an art. Add a wow factor in your essay. Do this, do that. None of that. Please keep in mind very simply that essay writing deserves to be treated like your entire exam deserves to be treated like a clinical exercise. Simple clinical exercise. You're not here to become an expert. You're not here to become an orator. You're not here to write books. You are here to write a small exam in 3 hours, a small paper in 3 hours, and get marks which enable you to pass the exam. Therefore, what do you mean by a structure? That you must have a clear idea when you're preparing at home. What do you write in your introduction? What do you write in the body? What do you write in the conclusion? And after that, number two, when you're writing paragraphs also, what do you write within the paragraph? How will you start the paragraph? How will you develop the paragraph? How will you finish? In my experience with students, I've realized that once a student starts writing, once they write about 40, 50 words, after that, they don't have a problem. Then they'll keep writing, then the pen keeps moving. Problem is the first 10 to 15 words. When you ask students to write something, even right now, if I tell you people, I'm giving you, let's say 10 minutes, write 500 words on India, every single person can write, but writing the first sentence, many students will not be able to do it in 2 to 3 minutes. So in class, what do I tell the students? That when you're starting a new paragraph, I tell them, for example, use an appropriate quote in the beginning of the paragraph itself. Ethics, where did I tell you? At the end. Here I tell them at the beginning. Why? Because it gets the paragraph started. And once you've started the paragraph, one way or the other, you'll find your way to complete it also. So develop that structure. What do you write in the intro, in the body, in the conclusion, and how do you write within a paragraph? This again, the earlier you start, the more you start practicing, the easier it will become for you. All right. Again, any question over here? Let me just take a look at these students. Sir, can we use recommendation points from books of authors like Gurcharan Das, Amartya Sen, and so on? Absolutely yes. In fact, they'll give you very good ideas, but please keep in mind, don't choose statements that are politically controversial. Sometimes, good thinkers, good readers, journalists, they write something where they are expressing their political views. Those political views, please keep on the side. Is the Hindu a good newspaper? Is the Hindu a good newspaper? Yes. But can I say the Hindu is also a little biased towards the left? And sometimes, even if the government does something right, they will find some fault or the other. So when you're getting content from the Hindu also, what do you people do? You tailor it, you modify it a little bit, you tone down the criticism a little bit. Same thing that you do with authors also. All right. Anyone else over here? Should we read essays? Should we read essays from previous years, from people, the books that they're selling in the market outside? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Why? Because those essays, honestly speaking, if you go outside, the essay paper was introduced in 1993, and then 94, 95, 2005, 2015. If you pick up an essay that was asked in 1993, my suspicion is that in the book, that essay was also written in 93. The whatever books they're selling in the market outside, they get to Vajiram. They give us free samples. And when you read those essays, sometimes even when you open the pages, you realize that the information is thoroughly outdated. They're talking about something that happened 15 years back, 20 years back. So that will give you nothing. You please collect that content on your own. All right, nothing else. Can we write quotes at the end also? No, you please write quotes in the beginning. Over here in the beginning of the paragraph, not at the end. At the end, preferably use good examples, real examples and good examples, relevant examples. All right. Anyone else over here? Can we mention examples from books like The Alchemist? I don't know what you will write from The Alchemist. I really don't know. No, it's a very good book. It's a very inspirational book. But what example you will choose from there, I'm not sure. Yes, one example, for instance, I remember, he says that you should never give up. And he says there was a man who was digging for a diamond or something. He kept digging for many years. And one day, finally, he was on the verge of giving up. I don't know how to draw. But let's say this is the mountain. This man started digging from here. The diamond is here. After digging for many days, many months, many years, this person had come till here, but had not touched the diamond. Everyone told him, you are a fool, leave this place, go somewhere else. I think this is from The Alchemist. But this man chose not to listen. Next day he said, one last day I will try, then I will go back home. Next day when he tried, when he dug a little more, of course, he was able to expose the diamond and became a very rich man. Now, a story like that, an anecdote like that, can you use? Yes. But Rest, I'm not really sure. Should I write in first person? No, because we are not asking you a question, we are giving you an essay topic. So no. Anyone else over here? You wind up the conclusion the same way that you write your introduction. Introduction and conclusion. Please use a good anecdote. Please use a good example that does justice to the topic that has been given to you. For example, what do you mean by justice to the topic given to you? Can I ask you a question or do I have to? I'll answer. For example, if I say a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what a ship is for. Now, I have one example, same example that I gave you earlier, Gautam Buddha. Now, Gautam Buddha, would he have been safe had he remained in Lumbini? Had he remained a prince, tomorrow become a king, comfortable life, happy, luxurious life. But he chose to step out of the harbor, which is why Siddharth becomes Buddha. Because a ship in harbor is safe, that is not what a ship is for. Maybe this is my introduction. Now I have to write the conclusion. I can't write Buddha again. So what will I write? I will write the Indian economy. The Indian economy after independence, for reasons only our policymakers can tell you, chose a path of protectionism and import substitution. As a result, what happened? As a result, your domestic industry was heavily protected. They did not innovate. They did not become competitive. And by the time you reach the 80s, what word did we use for India? That you people have a Hindu rate of growth. What is the Hindu rate of growth? Between 2.5 to 4% per annum. You're very slow. Then comes Dr. Manmohan Singh. We liberalize the economy. The moment we liberalize the economy, we expose ourselves to competition from across the world. You're stepping out of the harbor. But when you step out of the harbor, that is when your Indian economy will now touch GDP growth rates of 7%, 8%, even 10%. Why? Because a ship in harbor may be safe. That is not what a ship is for. Now, can I write that as my conclusion to finish off my essay? Yes. But all of this you will be able to write if you have the content. And again, I don't know, that is right here. If you learn your structure, how will you structure your paragraphs? How will you structure your essay? And what will you write within your paragraphs? All right. Anyone else over here? Should we refer to copies of toppers? Someone here is asking me, someone here is also asking me, should we refer to copies of toppers? Very judiciously, very sensibly. See, one thing I always say is that a person who gets a good rank, what is the average age group over here? I'm assuming that you people are, bulk of you will fall within the age group 20 to 25 years, roughly. A person who gets a good rank could be 23 years old, could be 26 years old, could be 28 years old also. A person who's 3 years older than you or 2 years younger than you, is that person better than you? No. Every single student sitting over here in his or her way is unique, is special, and is proficient. You may not be as good in maths, but you may be excellent in geography. You may not be good in history, but you may be very good in polity. Every person has their own unique individuality, unique features. Therefore, I personally say that when you read these people's copies, please don't idolize them. Please remember also simple reality about this exam. If let's say a student gets a good rank, now, and how much does this person get in the mains? When the person in this student in the mains gets 800 marks, whoever this person is. Answer one small question for me. If I take the same answer sheets, and just give them to another evaluator, do you think the 800 will remain 800? No. The same answers give to another set of evaluators, this 800 could become 750. It could also become 830. Therefore, understand there's a little bit of subjectivity, slight element of luck that is involved, but that subjectivity exists. Which is why when you say, should we read the copies of toppers, you read it not to learn what they've written, but to choose content from there. You might get some content that would be useful. But don't think that what a student wrote 1 year to get good marks, to get a good rank, will necessarily apply to every single person. That mistake, please don't make. All right. Someone here was asking me something. Yes. In the sense? No, there's not an analogy between the two. In both the cases, what I was telling that girl sitting behind, in both the cases, the examples or the anecdotes or the data is very different, but I'm connecting it to the topic. In both cases, I'm explaining very clearly to you that a ship in harbor, you could be a person, you could be an economic system, you could be a country. You're very safe in your country or in your harbor, But the only way you will achieve your potential is when you step out. Many of you over here, why are you people not confident? Why are you people not doing well? Why are you not happy? Because you're in your comfort zone. Most students stay in their comfort zone. What is my comfort zone? Mentally, I've decided that I'm not good at writing. You tell me to write something, I will not be. I've made up that decision myself. I've never tried writing also. So even if you put me in Vajiram and I stay here for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, I will write nothing. Why? Because I have that mental block. I'm not willing to step out of my comfort zone. That comfort zone is what we're calling the harbor here. Now, you could be the Indian economy, you could be Buddha, you could be anyone. You are relating it to the topic. Analogy is not the examples. Analogy is the topic. The common factor is the topic. Okay, that's what we mean when we say do justice to the topic.
How often should we change paragraphs?
How often should we change paragraphs? Like I said, you should write in 1200 words, 1000 to 1200 words, 6 to 8 paragraphs. And when you're writing them, the average length would be somewhere between 150 to 200 words. So roughly in about 150, 180 words, you know that it's time for the paragraph to stop. Some students sometimes write 2.5 pages. In their handwriting, 2.5 pages becomes about 250, 350 words. 350 words is one paragraph. Your writing is very lengthy. It's becoming very mundane, very monotonous. And here invariably, the good impact that you created will be diluted, will fall. Right? So roughly in about 150, 180 words, the paragraph should change.
Mindful of how many paragraphs should we include in an intro and body?
No, introduction is one paragraph. Body would be 4, 5 paragraphs. Conclusion is one paragraph. That's why I'm saying when you are sitting at home, before you even go for the exam, long before that, you must have a structure. You are in one of the ethics batches, one of the M1, M2, M3. Now, very recently, last class that we had, we were talking about, and I'm sure some people might not follow what I'm saying, but let me say it nonetheless. A few days back, we had a class where we were discussing answer writing, how you write answers. What did we do that time? We just did one thing. In the introduction, what will you write? And I said, address the crux of the question or tell us what are the key terms, explain the key terms. In the body of your answer, what did I tell you to do? Please write multiple points. And with the multiple points, what do you do? Please give appropriate examples. And in the conclusion, what do you say? In the ethics paper, I said, please use a small appropriate quote. This is my structure. Now I tell these students, go back home for a week. In a week, please write down 20 answers. And in 20 answers, follow this structure. After writing 20 answers, what will they understand? The structure is clear in their mind. The content may vary. I can ask them a question where they don't have content. They will struggle in the question. But where they have the content, the answer they will write and they will flow very quickly. Same thing you do for the essay. Have a structure in your mind. What will you write? Where will you write it? How will you create your paragraphs? That is what we mean by consistent structure.
Can we treat editorials as kind of model essay that we can look up to?
No. An editorial is written with a, when you people were in school, were you told to write a letter to your principal? Were you told to write a letter to the editor of a newspaper? Were you different things? Why were you told to write to different people? Because the audience was different. The way that you write it is different. When I came to the class, I said, I'll just start in a minute. First, let me understand who you people are. How many people have given the prelims, are writing the mains? How many people are in GS batches right now? Why? Because I need to know who I'm talking to, who I'm writing for. So in editorial, we'll give you very good thoughts. Every now and then you will come across a very good sentence. For example, who was that? Few days back, I was reading S. Shankar. Something was written on him. S. Shankar sometime had said, he was talking about Pakistan, and he had said that peace might not be in every country's future, but terrorism certainly can't be your future. Maybe India will attain peace after 10, after 20, after 50 years, but we are certainly not like Pakistan, where in our future, one very clear factor, one very clear feature in our future is terrorism. Now, that's a very good statement. A couple of years back, the Prime Minister had gone to the United Nations in New York. He made a speech there. What did he say? That when India reforms, the world transforms. Very small statement, very powerful. Now you use this statement in an essay, and if the person who's evaluating your essay, if he's been following, and I'm sure he'll be following the newspapers, when he reads this, he will realize that you're reading the newspaper also and you're using the content at the right place, in the right manner. That creates an impact. So you're reading an editorial to get content. You're not writing the way an editorial is written. The exercise is very different. All right.
What type of topics I should start the process of writing an essay?
You should start writing on the simplest topics you can find. Honestly, I'm telling you, simplest topics. There's a boy from last year's batches, these J batches. I can see some of you sitting over here. Last year's batches were J1, J2, J3, J batches. This one boy came to me a couple of weeks back. He said, "Sir, I've written a couple of essays. Can you please check them for me? Maybe he's sitting here also." And he got. I said, "Okay, fine. Show me one." He got an essay. What had he written on? Uh, which one was that? Something wantlessness is utopia, and something is a chimera. I don't know. It was a difficult topic that had come in 2021-22. Now, when I looked at that topic, I knew that the student on his own will not be able to write a good one. I made him sit there. I saw the first 2-3 pages and I said that, no, what you're saying is not making sense. I don't think you've understood the topic. He said, yes, sir, I have not understood. That's why. But I still wrote. It will not serve any purpose. I appreciate your effort. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to put in that effort, but you are learning nothing out of it. So please start with a small, simple essay. I just said, I'll give you 10 minutes, write something on what? India. Why? To help these people understand, you know everything about your country. But if you cannot write 500 words on it, then you have to understand, where are you weak? Are you weak in the introduction? Are you weak in the language? Are you weak in diversity in your content? Start with simple topics. When you start getting confidence, then gradually move up. Many students do the opposite. They choose the most difficult, the most abstract topic they can find. They try to write on it. They get disheartened. They know that they're not doing well. And writing a second essay a second time becomes very difficult for them. So if you're choosing something, please choose simple topics. And where do you get topics from? Only one place, which is the UPSC PYQs. Pick up any topic that has come in the past, write on that. One moment, let me just take a look at what these people also might be asking. So can we use graphs and charts? Definitely not. Definitely not. Keep your language in the essay paper as simple as possible. Absolutely correct. I can't agree more with you. Is it okay to use flowcharts and diagrams? Absolutely not. It is a test of your expression. Don't make diagrams, don't make flowcharts, don't write under headings. Yes. Codes of ethics. Let me put this slightly differently. In the ethics paper, every year there's a question which has 3 parts where you're given 3 codes. If I pick up one of these codes from, let's say, 2018, can I make it an essay topic in 2024? And an essay topic of 2018, can I pick it up and put it in ethics and tell you to write 150 words on that? They're completely interchangeable, which is why in the earlier part I said there's a very strong correlation between ethics and essay. You prepare for this, it will help you there. You prepare for that, it will help you here. There's not really a distinction between the two. If the same topic comes in the ethics paper also, okay, let me say Gandhi says, be the change that you want to see in the world. And I give you this in the ethics paper. In the ethics paper, what will you do? You have 150 words. So first, very briefly means extremely briefly, within 20-25 words, tell me what this means to you. And what will you say? That if you want to bring about a positive change, we don't need your speeches, we don't need your opinion, we need your example, we need your action. Introduction done. Then please write down 3 points. If you want to be the change, who has been the change and what has that led to? Please give me 3 examples. For instance, this girl says that, sir, I will write about Malala Yousafzai. All of Pakistan keeps complaining that girls in our country don't receive an education. Malala Yousafzai led by example. She was shot in the face, but she refused to cow down. She recovered and she still remained an advocate for the education of girls, which ultimately won her the Nobel Peace Prize. Appropriate example, but how long are you taking? You're taking 20-25 words. Now, I say be the change is an essay topic. In the essay topic, what will you do? In the essay topic, please start with a good example. Please explain to me what you understand by this topic and now address it from 4 or 5 different perspectives. Which perspective? For example, the media. For example, healthcare, and so on and so forth. And then address the topic. All right. So what you write will be different, but the quotes definitely can be used interchangeably. There's no. Please use, for example, what I just said to you, Paulo Coelho. Mahatma Gandhi says, be the change. Alchemist, someone had said, who's written Alchemist? Paulo Coelho. What does Coelho say? The world is changed by your example, not your opinion. So you write that over there and put it, like she said, in a different color. All right. Any tips to improve writing speed? My dear friend, these people actually, I'm feeling bad. I saw his name in the morning batch also. Any tip to improve writing speed? No, you please improve your content. Honestly speaking, you write about 20 essays, you write about 40 ethics answers, you realize that your speed has improved automatically. Speed is not the concern, quality is the concern. Quantity you worry about later. Right now, focus on on quality. Can we use constitutional articles in the constitution, in the introduction? Yes. The question is, what will you write about the article? In public administration, we were often taught that when you ask a question on PubAd, you don't know what to say, just say Article 1. Article 1 of the Constitution says that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. From there, every answer will take shape. You want to talk about financial administration, personal administration, corruption, one way or the other, your answer will take shape. That was a PubAd answer. In the essay paper, on the other hand, if I say Article 1, Article 32, Article 356, what do I write after that? I might not be able to connect it to the topic. So you can, if it is appropriate.
So it's mentioned about what Dr. S. Jaishankar has said. So when we are mentioning his lines or his quotes, so we can mention that he has said or directly.
Do I need to remember the name of the author? Do I need to attribute the quote to the author? If you remember it, it might create a slightly more positive impact. Even if you don't remember it, doesn't matter. Students say that, sir, if I don't remember the name of the person, then what do I do? You please use the quote at the right time, at the right place. At the end of the day, what do you get marks for? For conveying the right thought. Even if you get, don't attribute it to someone, just say that even if peace is not in everyone's future, violence should not be in any country's future. Same thing, but it is a good thought. So use it purposefully.
And so you have mentioned that don't use the words like she and Lord. So how we can mention the examples from the.
The reason I'm saying that, no, you can use them if you want them judiciously, but I don't even use the word judiciously in class, because students think they're already very wise. They think they're already very smart. So when I'm reading, they're, in fact, let me not take that example. That's a little political. When I read, an essay and someone wants to talk about who's said to be the ideal man in India, ideal man, the personification of perfection, Lord Ram, no doubt about it, Lord Ram. What do we call him in Hindi? Maryada Purushottam. There's literally nothing wrong about him. But what do students write? Students write that when Shri Bhagwan Ram Chandra ji went somewhere. Now, please, you are writing it, and I understand that you have a lot of good sentiment. What if I belong to some other religion?
So how we can mention it?
In that case, you please say Ram from the Ramayana, Krishna from the Mahabharat. And if you think that you have to add Lord, you add it, but do it judiciously. Like I said, religious, it should not have a religious complexion. At most, it should be wisdom or it should be spirituality. Keep that distinction in mind. All right. Definitely, you can use it. Definitely, provided the anecdote is appropriate to the topic. It should be appropriate. Like that, when that girl was asking, I've forgotten the topic. I think ship in harbor is safe. I said Buddha. I said Indian economy. That's an anecdote. You can definitely use that.
Suddenly, if you are studying having a body, and then suddenly the recall study you may be using in the body of something.
No, but you must plan before you write. It's not that if I tell you to write an essay, will you start writing immediately? No, you'll spend some time planning. Once you plan, once you created your broad structure, then you write. So you can't deviate in between. All right. And these people are also clear. Yes, these people are also clear. Can I use the topper's answer script? I think we've answered that also. How can we write appropriate introduction related to science essays? Please collect content. Again, there is data, there is anecdotes, there are so many stories. Have you heard of Florence Nightingale? Who's Florence Nightingale? The lady with the lamp. What did she tell you? She told us something. She was not even a doctor. She was a nurse. But she realized that the high mortality rates during the Crimean War were why? Because when soldiers were coming back in the evening after fighting the war, when they were going back to their tents, they were not taking off their shoes and they were not washing their hands. As a result of which, there's a very high degree of mortality related to bacteria. And she said something simple: take off your shoes outside, wash your hands thoroughly, the chances of infection will reduce. And this one simple piece of advice led to what? Led to a significant reduction in the death rates during the Crimean War. What is this called? This is called rationality. This is called scientific temperament. If you read about her, most of the people in the medical profession were males. A female is suggesting something, do you think they will take it kindly? No, they made fun of her, they ridiculed her, they embarrassed her, but she stuck to her ground. And today, what is she remembered for? She is remembered for the foundations of the modern nursing system. If you know this, you please put it over there. Alexander Fleming, penicillin, please put it over there. The example that I gave you today in the ethics that handout, Barry Marshall, please put it over there. All right. Everyone, I think now we can call it a day. I think we've taken a lot of time. All right, then this is a brief understanding of what exactly you're supposed to be doing. And based upon that, now, yes, last question then.
So my question is, nowadays a lot of people are suggesting against following the capitalism, like following the social or technological and environmental. So what is your take on it?
my dear friend, I would just tell you to please use your judgment, your wisdom. Any person who tells you that one approach is good, one approach is bad, for example, scientific, technological, political, economic, do not use it. You ask them what should be used. They will not be able to give you a clear answer. You use your wisdom. If you think you're able to write something sensible based on that approach, please go ahead. There is no such rule. All right. Thank you very much. Please start studying and please start writing as early as possible. Thank you.